set can come on, and you can also press that button on if you'd like there, John.
Oh, right, yep. Where was that power button, wasn't it?
Yeah, if you just follow the lead down.
Yep. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's much better, isn't
That's
it?
unbelievable.
It's amazing to have that noise cancelling come in.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. You can still hear the engine, you can still hear, but everything comes a lot clearer. So we can turn radios on and transponder on. Volume there for everyone else. And everything's all comfy, fuel pressure's good. And from here we then do a brake test. So I'm relaxing off the brake pedals, we'll start to roll forward slightly, and then I want you to apply the brakes, both together at the same time, just on your toes, okay? So we'll roll forward slightly, and now have a feel of those brake pedals. Push forward up on your toes. There you go. Now you're going to do most of the steering. So if we want to turn to the left, we've got to push on your left foot.
Yep, so that's your foot down lower, isn't it?
That's right. Okay, so we want to follow this yellow line just in front of us here. So push on the left, and occasionally, because it's got what's called a free cast ring nose wheel, you need to add a little bit of brake occasionally just to get the aircraft start turning. We're going to do a 90-degree turn to the left and run down taxiway Alpha here, and all the way down to the end near holding point runway 17. So add a little bit more brake on the left there. That's it while you're doing the turn as well. That's good. And release. And looking all further away. If you find that you look close to yourself, you'll overturn or underturn. Where if you look in the far distance, you'll turn exactly what's required. So you are in command with the feet there. Okay. So basically keeping your feet comfortably parallel on the controls, and you'll notice if you need to add a little bit of right or a little bit of left. Unlike a car, we basically own this taxiway, really. So we're heading this way, we can sit right on the centre line. Exactly what you're doing there. While we're taxiing, we have the controls, the yoke, back into this point here, and I'm happy for you to rest your left hand on that and get comfortable. That's basically where you're going to be for the next 35 100 hours, while ever you continue to flying throughout the rest of your life.
Get the feeling of the steering a bit, is that alright?
Yeah, most definitely. Have a feel, going a little bit left, a little bit right. Started at 13:26. A lot of people, if they overspeed, like get a little bit too quick, they will overreact or underreact and end up off into the ditch. Okay. If you keep it at basically a fast jogging pace, that will keep you at a good speed. This here is a good ideal speed, because obviously if something came out in front of us or something along those lines, we could come to a stop.
Can I just feel the brakes again?
Of course you can.
All right, up the top.
Yeah, I'll come back and just independently, perfect. Yeah. And it will come with time that it'll be a second nature, just like driving the car.
Yeah, just got to get that feel.
Yep. So just on the right there, come around, keep it on the tarmac. And the other thing, just to get a bit more airflow, we can open that. That's a little air vent right at the front there, a bit more air on the nose.
Better go to the right.
Yep, just push on the right a little bit. Now up ahead, you can see that there's a big bay on the left-hand side there. So we're going to turn into that run-up bay, and we'll do some checks on the aircraft.
There. Okay.
Make sure it's ready to roll.
So it has a tendency to veer to one side?
It can be, or it can be your foot slightly sitting there.
Oh, okay.
It can also be the camber in the actual asphalt.
Yeah, so where are we going here?
Okay, so we'll come to the end. I'll follow you with you, and I'll be on the controls. We're going to go to the end and do a hard turn to the left. Okay, so you can kind of see coming up. See this little arrow that's blackened out? We're going to follow that around. So I add a little bit more power in the turn as we come around. That's it, let it go straight a bit, because we want to get further over to this side. That's it, and that just keeps us away from any other traffic running down the taxiway. We manoeuvre around to this point here, come to a bit of a stop with full brakes there. You don't have to squeeze them on too hard, but it's just enough. Controls can now come back and relax, and then we come through and check. Okay, idle check. There we go. If we brought the throttle all the way back to nothing or back to idle, the engine doesn't shut down on us. It is a good check. Back up to 2000 and hold that there. Fuel pressure is looking good. Across over to here. Oil pressure is good. Temperature is above the 120. Cylinder head temperature is above 120, and we're charging. So we can go to that next stage of checking our ignition, so the electronic ignition. What we'll do is I'll get you can bring and advance the power up to 4,000 RPM for me, please.
4,000.
Yep. Now that's not the propeller, that's just the engine RPM.
Oh.
Yep. Because it's we've got a gearbox in the front there that actually brings that down to about the 2,000 RPM.
Yep.
Keep coming a little bit more. Righto, and what we do is I'll show you here, you watch and view our RPM there, and now turn to 1.
Slight drop.
Slight drop. We come back to both.
Yep.
Looking good. Come 2 on the other side. Same sort of drop within tolerance. So we've got about a 300 RPM drop that we're allowed, and also about 150 between the two of them. Whilst we've got it there at 4,000, oil's pressures, temperature are all stable.
Yep.
Notice how the oil temp doesn't get too much into the green here. It's just a condition of this, but it's fine that it's above the 120. And we're also charging. Then we bring back to idle. We set up the rest of the aircraft, and what I like to do is I do a flow check. So from the bottom here, the trim is neutral, these guys are in, we'll change over to our right tank, flaps identified, and we'll go to the first stage. We can hear the worm drive coming up the top here. And
so that's just one touch, is it?
One touch, yeah. It's got an auto and a manual feature, so we can either hold it down and it'll go to a set point where we want it, or a quick little touch down and it'll go to that stage.
Was it like 10 degree?
Yep, so the first time goes down to 10 degrees, second stage goes to 28, and the last stage is 45 degrees. 45. So which is pretty cool, and it's very simple, easily done. Yeah. And if you look out to your left, it's sitting there down, both the flaps are down.
Yeah.
Very good, and it's the indicator is that little light.
Yep.
Nice. It's pretty simple, really.
Okay, yeah.
Why not? Why make things difficult?
Yeah.
Airspeed 0. Our turn coordinator is sitting here working. If by chance we had that device off, you can see there's a little red flag. So that means there's no power going to that, so it's not doing what it needs to. It's now got power to the device and working. Our altitude, we're at 210 feet. Our vertical speed indicator is sitting at 0. RPM was what we've got before. And then coming across, our radios are designed on 122.65, and even in here, Cessnock 122.65. I know you haven't got your glasses there to see that, but it's just an added sort of advantage here. Over to the right, we've got all our other engine gauges. We've already checked those. Transponder will come onto altitude, and other than that is we want nav and strobe on. Let people know that we're about to enter the runway and go for a flight.
Yep.
Feeling comfy?
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep.
Okay, you're back on control with the feet. We're going to taxi out here to the left, up to the holding point, which is designated with 2 solid yellow lines and 2 broken yellow lines.
Yep.
I'll control the power, but you're going to help me with everything for the takeoff as well, if you're comfortable with that.
Yep, sure.
And then you can see sometimes just a little bit of additional braking to help with those turns.
Yeah.
Now, we've got an aircraft coming in to land, that's not an issue at all, but what we want to do, because we're see, hear and avoid, we want to come up to this holding point and then turn on a 45 degree into the oncoming traffic. So keep on the centre line here, maybe come a little bit further to the right. We don't cross over that line, it's okay, keep coming, and then we're going to turn on a 45 shortly. Come a bit closer, and now turn. So there we go, we can turn, we haven't crossed the line, so no one feels unsafe there. We can now see, obviously, India Juliet Romeo, they're coming into land, nothing else on finals, nor on base or downwind. So listening and also visually, nothing there to cause an issue.
Okay.
We'll see what...
Why did you come across on this angle again?
Because we've got a high wing aircraft, so if we were to pull up straight, we would have very poor visibility for someone about to come into land.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
so
okay.
We're listening, so see, hear and avoid. So we're listening, but we're also looking to make sure that when we enter this runway, we're not going to then step out in front of someone. Kind of like you would at a roundabout. You want to be able to see, and unfortunately with a high wing aircraft, we can't see that. So that's the only reason we're on 45. Yep. Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, otherwise everything's all set there. We're good to enter and line up. I'll make a radio call. Cessnock traffic, Sirius 7509. Enters, lines up, shortly rolls runway 17 for a crosswind departure to the eastern training area. Cessnock. All comfy. We also listen now, 2 seconds or so. No one else responds to say, well, hang on, I'm on short finals, and we're good to enter. All clear. Strobe is already on, and transponder. You're on command now with the feet, so follow the yellow line if you can for us. Bring us around to the numbers, runway 17. Wind is 5 to 8 knots straight down the strip, maybe a slight crosswind from the right. Very good. In the takeoff, I'll advance the power.
Where do we stop?
So you don't really have to stop technically,
yep.
but you know, ultimately if you want time to pause, you're legally allowed 2 minutes sitting here, but you know, if there's someone else coming into land, you don't really want to waste that. We're looking good all the way down the runway, it's all clear, and especially around here you could have kangaroos and so forth as well. Everything's looking good, so oils, pressures, temps are all stable, and what we do...
Bravo Julie India is 2 miles to the south.
Bring up to full power.
Manoeuvring to descend on the dead side and join.
Keeping it straight with the rudder pedals, no braking required. That's it, and you're just gentle on the controls there. Airspeed's alive, and it's sitting at about 60 knots, and shortly we'll have rotation. There we go. What we want to first of all do is climb out at the 65 to 70 knots.
Yep.
And because our visibility, this thing's got a huge high nose attitude because the way it climbs. So at the moment we've got 700 feet there, and we're not really pushing it too hard at all. And start to lower the nose a little bit, give us a bit more forward visibility. Coming up 300 feet above ground, which is at 500 feet. Flap identified, and you can put this away for me. So with the flap, just lift the lever up one. This one here, the black one.
Oh, sorry.
That one, just that one. That's it, done. It automatically, you'll notice that the nose of the aircraft is automatically lowering. So with that, we can accelerate up to 80 knots. That's good for us, but we want to keep that and then trim to maintain there. Everything's looking great. Once we come to 1700, which is onto circuit height, we're going to be turning to the left. So before turning to the left, have a look out to the left. Visual cues are all clear, and watching through to the turn where we're turning. And all clear, turning left. So a little bit of left aileron. So drop that aileron down slightly. A tiny little bit of left rudder, not much. And we've already got the desired pitch climb, bringing us around. Feeling comfy there?
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. I'm almost going to come off the controls there. We want to pick, if you're looking out to the left here, about 30 degrees before you see this swampland out to the left, will come wings level. It is a good key point now, looking out to our right, looking for any oncoming traffic. That if they are, that's where they would be coming through. And circuit height is at 1,200, so we're just passed through circuit height already, and we're not even fully past our crosswind point. So
seems to climb a lot quicker than the one.
It's that power to weight ratio. We've got a 100 horsepower little engine.
So how high are we climbing to? Sorry.
700. We'll climb to probably 2.5, maybe 3. We'll see what the clouds are doing.
Okay.
Before the cloud height was about the 3,000. So we'll go to 2.5 at the moment. I'll give our departure call now. Cessna traffic, Sirius 7509, departs crosswind, runway 17. Tracking to the east, climbing to 2,500, passing 1,800 Cessna. Okay, nothing else out and about. Now that we're leaving the circuit area, I can now relax my left hand back off the throttle position here, and I can check oils, pressures, temperatures are all stable, because if there was something wrong, that's when I'd be looking at turning back. Right, but everything's looking nice and stable, in the green, and looking good. We're climbing out at 80 knots here. If by chance we need to, because we can't get any more power, but if we need to go faster, we would lower the nose. To do that, we would push slightly forward on the stick. You can have a feel of that if you'd like. Just with your hand, just pushing forward, and you notice straight away that nose comes down.
Quick to react.
It's very quick to react. You don't want to also be sitting there having to hold pressure, so forward or backwards. So if you let the stick sit there in one position, and I'll show you this shortly once we're out in the training area, but on this here, if just that device there, it works almost the same as this control yoke. So if you push that forward for me, down here on the right, just push that forward and watch what happens with the nose of the aircraft. See how the same deal? It trims the aircraft and lowers the nose. Doing that, our airspeed's now increasing.
Right.
And vice versa. So we're coming up, there's our 2,500 feet, and so what we want to do now is hold that attitude. So we want to hold the altitude, so we push forward on the stick, the aircraft is now flying level. We're also wanting to watch our airspeed, and we're engines increasing. I bring the power back, and as you can see, we're coming back now to about 4,800 RPM, and I'm feeling a bit of pressure pushing forward to hold that attitude. So I'm going to come off, but I want you to hold that nose down. Look at the picture out the front. See where the horizon's sitting.
Right.
Try and get your horizon just a little bit higher than me, but generally speaking, I put the horizon just through the top of the compass. So I want you to do about the same. Have a quick glance down here and you see that we're not climbing or descending anymore.
Zero. Yeah, close to.
Because of that, see how you're pushing forward to hold that area, that stick there?
Right.
I want you to use that trim and push it slightly forward till that pressure comes off your hands. Pushing it forward, keeping the wings level.
Warrior India, Juliet, Romeo clears 17.
Feeling good? So you can feel what that trim
That's so different to the other one, especially I think with more turbulence it changes the whole experience.
It does. So do you have a smoother day last time? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And we will get that where you bounce around. What you'll find is a lot of people, while they're flying, they'll overreact on the controls.
No doubt.
And so what you look at doing is we're bouncing and so forth around.
Yep.
And ultimately, if you sort of let go of the stick for a bit, okay, and then I just lower the nose slightly, and we don't touch anything. You see how the aircraft is ultimately going to, if you sit it there like that, it's going to hold. It's us doing this that keeps bouncing us around. The wind will slightly manoeuvre us, but the less movement you do here, generally speaking, the better. Okay, so the basic effects of those controls, you sort of understood that.
So we're going down now, aren't we?
We are descending slightly back to that 2,500, and that's a good height for us to work around. Now there is nothing to worry about with these, the conditions, the bouncy conditions, or the turbulence and so forth. This aircraft, this is probably mild, very light turbulence. It would handle pretty severe turbulence. I'd be comfortable in the plane. You might not be because you're getting bounced around and you're not used to it. It's not a fun day in the office. But in saying that, the aircraft can handle it and is designed to. Okay, so let's have a look at those primary controls. So we've got the ailerons. We're already kind of starting to turn, but I don't need to do it. I'll just talk you through it. Before we do a turn to the right and see what the ailerons do, just have a look out to the right, make sure everything's looking quite clear, no other traffic there, and bank to the right. So a little bit of right aileron. We'll slightly introduce a little bit of right rudder and enough elevator to keep the aircraft at that plane flight, that level flight, which you've got here on the VSI. How's that feel?
Yep, fine.
Quite comfy?
Yep.
You'll find too, the higher RPM, if we're flying along with like a lot of speed, the aircraft, you'll feel those bumps a lot more. If we bring the power back to 4.5 to 4.2, we've slowed down a little bit. Those bumps are sort of mellowed out a little bit, and everything's that little bit more calmer. We can start a little bit of a descent, so you can start to push forward a little bit, or use the trim and lower the nose if you'd like.
Straightening?
You can do. Yeah, you can even do that in the turn, that's fine. And when you pick a point where you want to roll out onto, just use your visual cues at the moment. So whether it be a smokestack, a hill, or a tower, or something like that, use those key features and say, that's where I want to roll out, and come wings level. This is kind of our playground area out here. So I'm not really worried if you venture off a little bit to each way.
Whereabouts are we exactly?
So Maitland is directly behind us.
Oh, back there.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Maitland's just right behind us.
Yep.
That gives you the idea of where we've got townships wise?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, so you feel comfy with that, going to the right. Now see how you going to the left, and we'll probably do a full 360 degree turn.
Go right around?
Yeah, we'll go right around. But have a look first, always visual cues. Nothing out there. Left aileron, and a little bit of left rudder, and you may need a little bit of up elevator. We'll see how we go in the turn. The idea in the turn is always keep a good visual lookout, seeing and avoiding any other traffic, and that does mean sometimes poking your head forward, seeing what you can see.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, no, you're doing fine. As you can see, we're slipping in this turn a little bit, so the tail of the aircraft is falling down. Does that make sense to you? If you add a tiny little bit of left rudder in that turn, as well as the aileron, that will balance us up and the tail will come around a little bit easier. How's that there?
That feels better.
That feels a bit better? That's good. Like a pro.
You're generous.
No, you're fine. And the main thing is, if you ever overreact, or the plane gets a bit tilted, just, manipulate the controls to bring yourself back to a level flight.
With the ball, when the ball's heading to the right, what happens with the rudder there?
Yep, okay, so the way I sort of teach it, treat it a bit like a soccer game. If the ball is in between the goalposts, you're doing great. If the ball is venturing outside that goalpost, use the same leg. So if the ball comes out to the right, see there? You're stepping a bit too much on the left. So you want to add a little bit of right, or relax that left. If the ball is out to the left, use your left foot and bring it back into the centre.
So left is left.
Yeah. Think of the idea just kicking that ball back into the centre. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if it goes to the right, you need right rudder or less left?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the more bank angle we have, the more rudder input you would require in that turn.
Yeah.
So once you're coming level, same deal, adding a bit of the right, a little bit of right rudder and right arm on at the same time, and slight nose down. Because when you roll out of the turn, you'll gain a little bit of lift.
Yeah, it's very, very different. It's very I think maybe because of the high revs and everything, it just feels a lot different. I don't know.
Different good, different bad.
Yeah, it's good, mate. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, cool. Righto. No, that's excellent. Righto. So having a look out to your left, and I'd like you sort of play for about another 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Feel comfortable, relaxed. You know, feel what you're not going to damage the aircraft.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. So.
And same, if you want to play with the power, you can bring power back. We can slow it down.
So what's the speed? Like it's 90 knots now, a bit over.
Yeah. Yep. How does she handle slower?
What's it meant to? I don't know. What do you normally cruise at, basically?
Yeah, okay, so that really just depends. So generally what we're doing out here in the training area is somewhere around the 4,000 RPM. We won't really want to be belting around too much. If I want to go from A to B, flying on a nav somewhere, I'll be up around about the 5,200 RPM or 5,000 RPM. Trying to get
that's
something.
Okay to do those revs.
Yep. It's just the engine revving at those sort of points. So what we'll do is we'll do a 180 degree sort of heading back and head back towards the Cessnock Airport.
Yeah, where are we going, left or right?
So it's up to you. You choose left or right, but just make sure you use your visual cues.
Try a right, eh?
Yeah, not a drum at all. So all clear, out to the right.
Good look around.
That's the one.
So a bit of aileron, bit of right rudder.
Yeah, a little bit of right aileron, a little bit of right
just
rudder.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And feel comfortable. You can turn, you can bank it a bit more.
Yeah.
Like I say, you're not going to damage this aircraft.
Yeah.
If you'd like, I'll give you a quick demo. Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay, so from here we can roll the aircraft
out
and roll it around. Okay, and that's very comfortable with what the aircraft can do. And I'm only sort of 60% of what we could go to. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so you will not break the aircraft. And the one thing people do when they get in the aircraft, they have that tendency. They're like, oh no, let's just do a general one because I don't want to break it, or I don't want to get upset the aircraft. You won't upset it at this sort of flying. The only time that we will ever upset the aircraft is if we pull that elevator all the way to the back. And it's still not the end of the thing because about 5 lessons in, that's where we show you stalling.
Stall stuff,
and we indicate that to you. So just so you're aware of what goes on. But the rest of the components of the aircraft, how manoeuvrable it is amazing.
So where's the airport from here? I've sort of lost my bearings. It's up there somewhere, isn't it?
It is fine. Okay, so mainland's out here to the right. You've got through here the little township over the farther. So that's kind of where we need to head for. If you can see the big hills off straight ahead, you probably go, look, probably from the edge of those cliff faces, about 10 to 15 degrees to your left. And Cessnock's over that way, and then north of there will be the airport. So if you come about 10 degrees, 15 degrees to your left, that will pick up direct for Cessnock.
Good.
So... How you feeling?
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
just not used to being on a light plane bouncing around.
Yeah,
that's all. That's all good.
And the light of the plane, it can get thrown around a little bit.
Yeah.
The old saying that the bigger the plane, the easier they are to fly, and it does. It is true that way.
Yeah, so did you say that's temperature, that's cylinder head temperature or something?
So that's oil temperature.
Oh, oil temperature.
And that's cylinder temp. So cylinder temp's good, but oil temp's a little bit lower. But just to try and keep it up there, that's a lot of aircraft have covered off actually some of the air intake to help warm the engines a little bit more.
Yeah, get some warmth into it.
Yeah. But it is within operating limitations, so as long as it's above 120 degrees before we go and do any sort of high RPM or anything.
Oh, it's cool.
It is. Look, it's a nice little thing. The idea with flying is not to put this stigma on that it's such a really hard thing to do or a fully intense thing. You want to make it fun. You want to enjoy it and know what the aircraft can do. Alright, so we're coming off about 6 or 7 miles from the airport, and the other couple of key features here that we've got, can you see the big high voltage power lines running through from down through the valley up through this way?
Yeah.
That's, if you started to follow that too, that would bring you back into where the airport is. So if we go another, you got Cessnock itself, another 10, 15 degrees around to the right now, that will head towards where we're
So to do a slight turn like that, is that rudder and aileron together?
Yeah,
or it is? It always is.
You do always want to incorporate aileron and rudder at the same time.
So we can just do a little slight...
You can do a slight turn and just that littlest amount of elevator, rudder and aileron all combined.
Yeah.
And generally you'll lead, so you'll go aileron, rudder, elevator. So we've got another machine here, and that's fine, Tango Alpha Whiskey. We'll sort of start our descent profile anyway, heading back in, and they might be doing the same, but we'll just keep an eye on them and knowing what's happening out here. So you're still in command and flying the aircraft, because that's what you're paying to do.
Yep.
Okay, come back around to the left about 5 degrees. That's looking good. Perfect.
Pioneer 5117, approximately 3 miles northwest of the field. I went up through a hole, I'm nearly on top.
So what did that mean?
He's someone heading out somewhere. There, probably two blokes flying somewhere, and they're heading out west or something. So they've climbed up through a hole. Legal requirements for VFR aircraft, like what we're doing right at the moment, is you've got to stay visual and visual contact with the ground. You're only allowed above a scattered cloud for a maximum of half an hour. Alright, and I'll give our 5 mile inbound call. Cessnock traffic, Sirius 7509 is 5 miles to the east, inbound on descent through 2100 and ETA time 5-4. Cessnock. Can you pick up the airport yet? So if you look out through your nose here, we've got tree, and then an open-ish paddock that almost looks like a bit of, it's got an arrow sort of head with the tree line pointing that way.
Oh yeah.
Yep, okay, so then the next open area is actually the airport.
Oh, right up just before those hills, those big hills.
But not towards the hillway, just more to your left a little bit. So if you come around to the left a little bit, I'll point us directly at it.
Tango, run the car is now final runway 17.
There you go. So straight ahead, there's the airport there. Alright, and our idea, we can start at a bit of a descent here, and depending on what the traffic is whether we join on downwind and we'll join on a 45, or whether we fly over and then descend down. Okay, so you can push forward a little bit and I'll help with the trim. That'll help lower us down. At 1700 feet, we'll be 500 foot above the circuit height, and at 1200 feet, so bringing this little needle all the way around to here, will be circuit height. At the moment, we'll work towards joining a downwind and coming in and landing. And while we're coming in, I'll run through our downwind checks. So brake pressure is good, undercarriage is down and locked, choke is in, fuel pump is not required, contents sufficient for what we're going to be doing for a go around. Instruments are all in the green, switches as required, so if we wanted a landing light or something like that on, hatches, harness and our desired altitude is coming down to it. So we're basically making sure that the aircraft is ready to come in and land.
So we're levelling at 1200, is that
at 1200, yeah, and you can see where the airport is now. We'll then rotate around onto a downwind and then shortly turn base and then finals. You can follow me through, stay on the controls, and I'll even try and talk you through it if you can, if you're happy with that. So there's our altitude there. I'll start to bring a bit of power up, and there's no other one in the traffic that I can see of at the moment. Cessnock traffic, Sirius 7509 joins mid-downwind, runway 17, Cessnock. Okay, so coming around to the right, all clear, and banking around to the right. So we're going to do a 90-degree turn here. I'm going to start to bring some power back and raise the nose just slightly so as we don't lose too much height.
TechDam, Pioneer 5117, your position, Roger.
Very good. We want to get back to 75 knots so as we can get that first stage of flap. Can you see the runway out there to the left? Yeah, perfect. Excellent. So from there, we'll hold level flying, raise the nose slightly, 75 knots, first stage of flap, and then we'll start a turn onto base. So looking out to the left there, all is clear, and I'll bring power back to 3000. 65 knots, second stage of flaps, and we'll start setting ourselves up for about a 500 foot descent rate. So I retrim the aircraft to hold, so hopefully that there, is that feeling like the stick's sitting neutral?
Not too bad, yeah.
Not too bad, that's good.
Yeah.
Pioneer
Excellent.
5117 is 4 miles southeast of Singleton, 6,500, well on top. I will change to 126.7.
Looking good. How you feeling?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good.
So that 500 is pretty much your descent rate doing this, is it?
That's right,
Okay.
yeah. And it's what that works is, it's more good for people's ears, for them to equalise.
Okay, yep.
Even if you're in the airline aircraft, they might be descending at 2,000-3,000 feet per minute, but the cabin pressure is only descending at 500 feet per minute.
Oh, right.
So you'll still experience the same.
Kilo 44 is join right, base for all, grass right, 17 full stop. Cessnock traffic.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out.
And Cessnock traffic, Sirius 7509 is shortly turning finals, runway 17 full stop, we're looking out.
Is right base, runway 17. Might turn the landing light on just in case to assist. Keep an eyes out. We'll stay this side. I've got him visual. Yep, out there. Plenty of room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the 500 feet, ultimately if you had someone with a cold, like the common cold, their sinus problems blocked up, things like that, you'd really want to be mindful and maybe not descend at 500, maybe descend a little bit less, but you'd want to explain to them best ways for them to be able to clear that and make it nicer to enjoy what you've got. Okay, everything's all set up. We just basically look at the runway where we do. Maintain a desired airspeed, power setting.
So where are you aiming now?
So I'm looking at the number 17, and then we'll get a little bit of a drop just shortly, which is fine. But we've got that attitude, the power is set, and shortly we'll come back to power.
Kilo Romeo Kilo is
Feet are all completely off the brakes. Back to idle now, looking all the way down the end of the runway, and we just try not to land basically. We just keep squeezing back until we touch down.
Too good.
That was all you. And while we're landing, we continue to increase that up elevator, and that just keeps either slowing us down, but also keeping the prop clearance off the ground.
Right.
Not that hard, is it?
Not when you're got how many years experience you got?
Yeah, look, I started yesterday, so I'm doing okay. I've been, I think, flying now, I don't know, 13 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 13, 14 years, a bit over 3,500 hours. Not instructing about 900 hours of instructing, so I'm starting to figure out what does what.
Yeah.
Okay, you can steer with the feet pedals and bring us off here on the right here. So just adding that little bit of right rudder, maybe a bit of braking.
Helicopter, Kilo Romeo Kilo, crossing the 17 threshold.
Once we come past this threshold, we'll come to a stop. So you're right, left, just on the left there. Yep. That's it, good. And slowly on the brakes, bringing us come to a stop.
Stopping here.
Yeah, stopping here.
Yeah.
So we'll do FUCT, F for flaps, flaps coming up, U for unnecessary electrics, C for call.
Cessnock traffic, Sirius 7509, clear of all runways, Cessnock.
And trim transponder. Transponder back to there and trim back to neutral. And you're good to taxi us home. So we keep the control column there.
Stays back.
You come back over to the left. What we'll do is we'll cross over here, the taxiway. You can see that no one's coming from the right. If you were to, you would give way to the right.
Uh-huh.
And we'll go on to where the bitumen changes colour.
Oh, straight down, yeah.
Just where the bitumen changes colour, we'll head for your wife, maybe give her a bit of a fright, not really. Yeah. It's more the case we'll park on the grass there. So you're good? Yep. Head for her now. Yep, on the right, and then we'll turn very shortly and then straighten up. Okay, on the left.
Yep.
Looking great, and then come to a stop. Very good. You can turn that off. So this one here on the radio. So just turn that anti-clockwise until it clicks off. Very good. Yep. And then here, off as well. So the one click to the left. Yep. And then everything's all green on the key all the way around to the left. Yep. Perfect. Okay, from there, key can come out, sit up on here. And last 3 switches off, please.